The security of tenure of a title deed is a crucial part of stability in Kenya. Land tenure security underwrites the economy and social cohesion. But those involved in land grabbing attempts are bent on undermining all of this.
The tactics that these people are using to answer your question is to use the criminal justice system. You use the court to commit fraud. Why? Because it buys you time.
They come with a lot of force. So as a family, you either get really afraid, possibly now you have to look at your own protection and also the protection of your property.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
You are taking a photo?
So your name is Jackson, what's your name?
There, take well. Can
What's
you
your
come
name?
to police station?
No, the OCS is on his way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your name?
So let him come.
The biggest problem is stealing of records at the lands office. You know that they can wipe out the whole record of someone's documents.
In this episode, we expose serious gaps within land ownership systems and show you cases where individuals implicated in land grabbing attempts seemingly evading legal consequences.
There's a boldness in the land cartels, but I also believe because there's no consequence for land grabbers and people who steal land.
One of the things is that the government or the law needs to make it very expensive for anybody to be able to do that kind of stuff.
My name is Kaguya Kimani, and I am an event planner and an interior designer recently. So that's what I've been doing for a while now.
Kagweria's family is yet another example of Kenyan landowners who have experienced the threat of losing their property to land grabbing attempts.
Our family was shareholders of Thome Farmers Sacco 1. And our late mother bought the property in 1979. She passed on in the year 2000. And as a result, our dad took over and then passed it on to his children on his demise as well.
Back in 1972, Thome Farmers No. 1, a public limited liability company, was formed and acquired parcels of land identified as LR number 31 and 2 in the Garden Estate area. This residential neighborhood is within Roysambu constituency, situated less than 15 kilometers away from Nairobi's central business district. The company then allocated shares to numerous shareholders, more than 900 members, including Veronica Wanjiku, who is Kagweria's mother-in-law.
What I imagined at the time, when it was bought by our mother in 1979, is that it was expensive because she was actually part shareholder with another gentleman called Samuel. And then, so they had an equal share of that plot. But later, when our dad took over, he bought Samuel's share. So that was just the initial beginnings, but really it was quite drama-free. There was really no issue with the property. Thome Farmers Sacco basically subdivided the plots and put them up for sale. So anyone who could be able just bought a share and got a share certificate, and that's how they came to own the property.
In 1990, Dorcas Nanjero, working with the law firm D.A. Nanjero and Company Advocates, was tasked by Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited to prepare title deeds for its shareholders. She was also entrusted with the original members' register, which she holds to this day. For years, Nanjero oversaw the transfer processes, which proceeded without any complications until 2010.
The lawyer in charge of Thome Farmers Sacco got in touch with us, and now it was time to get the land title. And when she got in touch with us, we provided her all the information as well as paid for the title. So when we paid for the title, it then the process was taking very long. And then that is when she came back to us and notified us that the mother file was missing from the Ministry of Lands. Our family actually tried to follow up and even brought it up even with LSK at the time to complain, because we didn't know where the problem and the issue was. But then what we found out when the mother file disappeared, there were no titles being produced. And actually we did write even a protest letter complaining about this issue, hoping that it would have been recreated and then we do get the title. But this was not the case in our land.
The original file at the Ministry of Lands disappeared, including the transfers that Nanjero had overseen. Despite her efforts to address the issue by writing letters of concern to the ministry, the files remained unavailable at the Lands Registry. The situation would later result in multiple attempts to illegally seize various plots of land within Block 110 in Thome Estate.
And the information that was there that showed who the original owners now was not longer available. So now she even wrote an indemnity letter to just simply say, we can now start seeing fraud is now happening on this land, and it's because of that file first disappearing that all these problems started to happen.
The most prominent way they were doing is that they go, if they find a land is vacant, they go to Lands Office, they collude with the officials there, they get a title for that land. Then either they sell to another person or they come and harass the owner. Yeah, in many cases, the owners are staying on the land and they are coming to be evicted from their land with a title which they are saying has been issued by Lands Office.
Grace, not her real name, is a landowner in Thome who also purchased her plots from Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited. Having lived in the area for many years, she has closely observed the unfolding events over the years.
So for me, I got my title deed in 1990 and I'm one of the first residents there in Thome. So many other people came and started staying there. Then around 2010, a lot of people started complaining to us, the chairman of the courts, that their plots have been stolen. People have obtained title deeds from Lands Office for their plots. You said that is very prime land, half an acre plots. The value is more than 30 million. And when these Wazes bought them, they were buying them for less than 10,000. And many of these Wazes are dead. Especially the land being targeted, it belongs to mostly people who are dead or people who have not occupied the land. But the conmen are also very brave. They even target the one where people are staying. So as a result of which there are many cases in court.
One of those cases is Kagweria's family land.
In the year 2019, in April, we had a caretaker. Basically, we lived very peacefully in the plot, irrespective of us not having the title. And then persons who we did not know came to our property and came very forcefully, and they were saying they are the landowners. And I mean, lo and behold, this is a caretaker who's been on the property for a very long time, did not know who these were. And what they did is then call us, and we rushed to the property to see who is this had come to the property. So we found it very strange that someone just comes and makes claim on your land that you've had since 1979. But we did suspect that maybe because of that mother file issue, maybe this person who came to us, who we did not know, we needed to hear more from him. What does he know? What does he have on our property? And that's what we now wanted to investigate.
The land in question is Plot 727 Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited, Nairobi, Block 110, 430. Up until 2019, Kagweria's family had not encountered any claim to their property.
They kept trying to say they have made claims on our property, but we resisted and we said, no, this is not your property. We've been here since 1979. So he went, and then at some point, about a week or so later, many goons came into the property, and they came with a lot of force, with crude weapons, came and actually destroyed our property. So from the gate, smashed through the gate, entered, and then went on to go all the way to even what we had, our employees' shelter, our cattle shed that we had from that time. And they raised everything, basically put everything down, so that there was nothing else that we could say, now this was our property. We actually saw what he was trying to achieve is to have us outside the property and he inside the property. So we also had to find ways as well to just also resist these 30 or so goons who came from a nearby place, and then also try and seek police protection to try and get back our property. So we resisted, and therefore we managed to stay on the inside.
In a letter dated 14th May 2019 addressed to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations from Kagweria's sister-in-law, Wamboi Keshuru, who serves as the family administrator, it is said that during the eviction, a gold Toyota was parked nearby, observing the ongoing demolitions. Its occupants were identified as one Jackson Gare and Peter Kamau Munene.
In our case, it wasn't a group of people. It was actually one person with someone else who looked like the driver or the assistant. And usually they operate those two. And they keep trying. So they'll try today on our land. They'll move next. You'll hear of them in Karen next, or in Westlands. So it's just people moving around from one property to the next and trying their luck.
The person laying claim to their property was one Peter Kamau Munene. He neither provided Kagweria's family with a notice to vacate nor an eviction order. Their family reported the incident to Kasarani police station but did not secure the help they urgently needed. They then escalated the matter to the DCI, while here they would get crucial information about their case.
He went to court. At the time now he was trying to come into the property, and he told the court he's an owner of the property and therefore wanted us to be served notice that basically we should not enter into the property. Now, what was very interesting, we were not supposed to get that notice, but somebody just told us that, do you know actually that your family has been taken to court? And now we rushed to that case, and it's on that case that we said, we are the owners. Basically what he did is turn the story around, and he used exactly what he did to us to now sue our administrator and then say he is the owner and we are the ones who destroyed his property. So what we did as a family, we also had to lawyer up and go now to court and counter-sue him on the case that he has against us.
The attempted land grab on their property might have been their first interaction with Peter Kamau Munene, but it was certainly not his first involvement, either directly or indirectly, in land-related disputes.
Then there is Peter Kamau Munene, who until lately was a landlord receiving money from George Wachira's houses to repay a debt George Wachira owes him. They are the actors at the center of a multi-million con game. It was such a murky thing that when we went to Arde House, and the reason why we titled that story Arde House Knows is because indeed Arde House knew. Because there is no way anyone on this land or elsewhere would pull that level of fraud without the involvement of someone from the highest office of land in this country, and that is Arde House. We lift the lid on a sophisticated theft syndicate of those who use technology behind computer keyboards under the roof of the highest lands office in the country.
In 2018, investigative journalist Brian Obuya, formerly with the Standard Group and currently with the Nation Media Group, investigated a suspected case of land fraud involving 2 parcels of land in Dagoretti, Nairobi. The case involved 2 brothers who had purchased land from individuals they believed were genuine landowners.
Kamau Mburu was approached by a friend and told about a parcel of land that is being sold elsewhere. And because Kamau Mburu had heard the brother talking about land and being interested in a parcel of land. So he decides that I can share this idea with my brother, and that's basically what happened. The brother decides to get into the deal. It was worth 6 million shillings somewhere in Kawangware. The interesting thing is that the land that Kamau Mburu and the brother were being shown as 5809 was in fact 5810. And at the time, 5810 that they were being shown had been sold to a lady called Beatrice Corey and to another man called Maura Njoroge. Both of them unknowingly. So Maura Njoroge has bought the land at 11.5 million, 5810. Beatrice Corey has bought the same land at 10.5 million, same land. And then this Kamau Mburu and the brother are being shown that 5810 in disguise for 5809.
It was during this investigation that the name Peter Kamau Munene would come up as the purported owner of the plot 5810.
It would appear that Peter, that the title deed in the hands of George Wachira Kanyoni and the likes of Peter Kamau Munene was actually the genuine title deed, because it was secured with everything, complete with a QR scan. I got Peter Kamau Munene's ID, copy of ID, before I could meet him, because he behaved like a ghost. He was not a man you could meet anywhere. I'm mentioning this because there's this guy called Peter Kamau Munene who apparently was featuring in all those cases of Maura Njoroge, this Edward Mburu case, the case of this Wilfred Gakuya, somewhere in Thome, the case of, I mentioned Beatrice Corey, the case of Njoroge Kamau and the daughters. The same guy also appeared in some case in Karen, where that was the very first time that the case that Peter Kamau Munene was coming to the limelight.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank
You
you.
are taking a photo?
So your name is Jackson. What's your name?
Take well. Can
What's
you
your
come
name?
to police station?
No, the OCS is on his way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your name?
So let him come. If you tell he's coming, let him come.
On 18th January 2023, Peter Kamau Munene and Jackson Mwangi Wambui were caught on video trying to gain access to Richard Hooper's property in Karen, Nairobi, and claiming ownership of the land. However, they were stopped by Hooper's friends and neighbors who quickly intervened, preventing what seemed to be an attempted land grab.
I think we are not going to speak any word. And we're not going to speak anything because we cannot see Hooper here. We can see other few men from foreigners country. The owner of this property.
Sisi ni Mkenya wewe. Na leo mnasema?
No problem.
Foreigners country. Wewe tajua wewe.
Haina shida. You can do what you want.
Tajua kabisa wewe. Usiongee hivyo.
According to news reports, following the incident, Jackson, who allegedly posed as the Karen police station deputy OCS, was arrested by DCI officers from Karen and reportedly faced charges of impersonating a police officer. Munene, on the other hand, is said to have been instructed to report to Karen police station as investigations into the incident proceeded.
Before and even after that story, I had never met him until his video emerged. And I remember at that time it was because Joe Ageo was our managing editor at KTN when we ran that story. He's even the same one who called me and told me, is this the guy we were talking about last time? And I was like, oh, yeah, this is the guy. I went back to the copy of the ID I had and I was like, this is the guy.
Documents in our possession reveal that Peter Munene and Jackson Wambui are implicated in yet another incident in a different Karen property in 2022. It is alleged that they forcibly entered the property claiming ownership and subsequently intimidating and harassing the tenants and employees on the premises. The security company manning the property identified their vehicle as a bronze Range Rover. As per a 2022 National Transport and Safety Authority NTSA search, the car was registered to a Peter Kamau Munene. The same vehicle was used during the incident at Hooper's, but according to our most recent search, the vehicle has since changed hands.
we played our part. I think that's what is more important. I don't know whether Peter Kama Munene by this stopped calling himself Munene Sonko. You know, there was a time he used to call himself Munene Sonko.
There's a boldness in the land cartels, but I also believe because there's no consequence for land grabbers and people who steal land, then they're able to do that a lot more. And then there's an element where land disputes are very civil, which means a land conman who takes off your hard-earned cash is likely going to go to be arrested and taken to court on a civil matter than a corruption matter. And then as a person who loses their money, when you go to the police, you end up spending much more money trying to get justice.
It is unfortunate that criminals, fraudsters in this country are using the criminal justice system to stay afloat. Why? Because land cases take a very long time to deal with. And when they're just about to conclude, you come and put in an application.
Whatever approaches or ideas they have, they keep changing. What I know, for example, the issue of forging documents, hiyo ndio inakuwaga most common. I mean, in every village, in every town, in every city, kuna watu wa kutengeneza forged documents, land titles, certificates, shares, nini. So wanatengeneza zao, right? Hata wanatumia mpaka technology, ya computer. Then from there kuna mambo ya kutumia pesa. As in, because I have resources, I have the 1,000, the 2,000, the 10,000. I use this to convince another person to do that which is not correct. Other angle that is usually mambo ya force. People will go hire crooks, watakuja wakufukuze kwa shamba, kwa ploti and all that. Of course, sisi mawakili. Kusema kweli, I still believe waga tuna contribute sana ya mambo za wizi wa mashamba. We rarely, want to face the truth. Kuambia mtu sorry, unataka kununua shamba, mimi advice yangu ni endo utafute kwingine. So a lot of mistrust, especially by professionals, and I'm not saying just lawyers, cutting right across the society.
Thome specifically probably has around 20 cases of fraud, and all happen sort of at the same time. So everyone is dealing with different cases at the moment. So some unfortunately have given up and their land has gone, has probably even been sold to a second or a third buyer. So it's quite difficult, but definitely all these problems stem to that mother file that disappeared, which carried with it a lot of plots, and that's where the fraud started from.
Although Kagweria's family successfully resisted the unlawful forced eviction from their land, they would spend almost 3 years in court defending their ownership rights to the property.
He sued us in 2019, and the case went on for about up to the year 2022. And we were lucky, I must say, because we got a very efficient judge. We produced our evidence. He produced his evidence, and actually his evidence included the title to our property. So, but perusing through his documents, he made a claim on our property, which he says he bought from the government in the year 2015, that basically Thome Pharmaceutical was owned by the government, and then someone else purchased it, and then he purchased it from that other person. So he was the second person to purchase this property. But the government cannot own private land.
According to a green card allegedly held at the Ministry of Lands at the time, the first listed owner of the property was the government of Kenya on 25th August 2015. The second entry indicated one Paul Ndegwa Waigwa with a registered postal address PO Box 601 00605 Kiambu as the recipient of the title on the same day. Strangely, despite Munene's claim to the property, his name didn't appear on the said green card. However, his name seemingly surfaced on the land search certificate.
As our family, this is exactly, we are questioning how this man had a title to our property. And in our eyes, what looked like a very legit title. But going back to when that mother file disappeared, and also other people who have had similar cases, because Thome has had rampant forgeries and many cases like this. We believe the mother file disappeared, reappeared probably in the year 2015 with new owners who had been allocated property already owned by the shareholders of this property. We produced also our share certificate and the whole history, including pictures from a very old time. So that is how we managed to win the case, and he got a permanent injunction not to enter into our property, and now we are in the process of getting our title and cancelling his title.
We reached out to Peter Kamau Munene to get a response to the accusations made against him over the parcel of land, Block 110-430 in Thome.
Hello?
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Am I speaking to Peter Kamau Munene?
Yes.
My name is Joy Kirigia.
Yes.
I am a journalist working with Uncensored.
Yes.
We are currently working on a documentary that is looking into land disputes in Kenya. So one of the parcels of land that we are looking into is the Block 110-430 in Thome. We wanted to get your perspective on that particular case. So I wanted to ask you a few questions just to get your response on the matter.
I'm not getting very well. What is the issue now?
It's reportedly claimed that you claimed ownership of that property and there was a forced eviction without prior notice or court order for that property. And it
I'm not getting very well.
Block 110-430 in Thome Estate.
Who are you now? To call the relevant person to answer you the question you want to be asked.
I'm calling you because it is alleged that you made claims to the said property. You are involved in that case. That's why I'm asking these questions.
Where you can, how are you coming into the matter, if I can ask?
Sorry?
How are you coming into the matter, if I can ask?
I am a journalist reporting on the story. So I... Sorry?
That one is not there.
That one is? Hello? Can you hear me? We tried calling back. Our calls were not answered. We also made a follow-up through a text message, but are yet to receive his response. While Kagweria's family secured their land rights through a successful court battle, other landowners in the area and beyond continue to fight for their properties.
The impunity is there in land office, even in the DCI. People complain there about Munene, no one arrests him. Yeah. He's just walking scot-free. So it's only that case in Karen which has slowed him down a bit because he was properly exposed. Yeah. Otherwise, the impunity is in all government departments dealing with the wananchi. You buy justice. Yeah, that is what we hear our neighbors say. You have to buy justice, because how can you just explain how someone just walked into other house and got a title deed in his name? And the title is genuine.
That we now agree, it has now become normal that the same parcel of land can have so many legitimate owners, legitimacy in terms of having a title deed printed and handed over to you by Ardhi House. Now we start to investigate, then how did you acquire it?
One of the things is that the government or the law needs to make it very expensive for anybody to be able to do that kind of stuff. If it is not stopped now, they will only grow and people will only become bolder. We've seen even people building on people's, you have the title deed, I have the building. What do? I go to court. And I continue enjoying the investment that I have illegally put on your property. Something needs to be done now.
This was it. There was a cattle shed here. Actually, this is a feeding truck. So that's where they were feeding from. We had some bathrooms here, temporary bathrooms and toilet. Yeah, but this is really what they did. So you can see the stones that are around here that they removed with with equipment to just destroy the whole property. For us as a family, why we had to fight for this land is, one, there was a very serious injustice. We felt almost defiled that someone came in and enters straight into your property and makes a claim on it. We found that very strange. But we are very cognizant that not everybody can fight, and we thank God we have the ability to fight so that we can be able to get our property back.
The boldness in some of these attempts is striking, even in the face of law enforcement. It's a situation that forces landowners like Kagweria to confront a difficult reality. With land cartels employing overwhelming force, fear can grip individuals or families affected, leaving them to contemplate their own protection and that of their property.
It's a very stressful process to go through, going through the courts. Even when you go to the courts, sometimes you feel you're being followed and things like that. But it's a very stressful thing, and that's why I'm saying when we go even to the courts, we have to also look at our own security. So there's really an extra cost that comes to you that you had never imagined would be the case. We've been to the police, we've been to the chief, we've been to the Ministry of Land several times. We've not come to any conclusion or any help. So for us, court was really where we felt we got the help and assistance that we got. But really, I believe people are on their own to fight this one.
The mysterious disappearance of the mother file not only resulted in land grabbing attempts, but also gave rise to yet another baffling situation.
When the file disappeared, that is when there was rampant issuing of plot owners to people who are not the genuine owners. Yeah, especially during that period. Yeah, then later on, when there was a lot of hue and cry, the Ministry of Lands undertook to take a verification exercise to verify who are the genuine owners of the plots. We saw a notice in the newspaper. I think she'll give you the notice in which they are saying that they have been verifying documents and they were giving people now who have not verified 14 days to come and verify. We came to learn that there are some new directors who have revived the company. They purportedly revived the company in 2021.
In a letter dated 5th April 2021 and delivered to Nanjero and Company advocates on 6th August 2021, purportedly written on behalf of Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited by one Joseph Wamba, conveyed the termination of the conveyance services provided by Nanjero and Company advocates. The termination cited constant delays in resolving shareholder issues, which had allegedly led to fraudulent transactions, among other issues. On 13th August 2021, another letter was addressed to the Principal Secretary at the Ministry of Lands by Otieno Omuga and Ouma advocates on behalf of Dorcas Nanjero. The letter noted the long-standing inactivity of Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited following the demise of most of its office holders. It also questioned the authenticity of the termination letter, pointing out that they still held the original files and expressed doubts about the individuals now claiming directorship of the company.
We have been told by the advocate who processed the titles for us, because we always consult those firm of advocates. They have told us that they have written several letters to the Ministry of Lands informing them that they are the ones with the original records for that land, but the ministry does not listen to them.
So what they actually did is now go and claim in some meeting, and board minutes were created, that those old men have now handed directorship to their sons and others not known to us. So they then said they are the new directors of Thome Farmer Circle, and therefore they want to even carry a verification exercise.
According to Kakai Mugola and Company advocates who represent the lawyer for the original Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited, there are two CR12 documents issued by the Registrar of Companies. The first document, dated 9th August 2021, outlines the original directorship of Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited. In contrast, the second CR12, dated 2nd December 2022, purportedly contains information on the new directors. In an email dated 10th July 2023, addressed to the Registrar of Companies, it is stated that an individual named John K. Wambugu, who is alleged to be the company's secretary, is said to have lodged documents to the Registrar of Companies to effect the change of directors for the alleged new leadership. However, Wambugu distanced himself from the takeover, asserting that he was not present at the meetings and that the company and its directors were strangers to him. Furthermore, he stated that any documents purported to originate from his office should be treated as forgeries.
What was even interesting, the board minutes, I even signed with people that even people have gone for their funerals. And so it just didn't add up.
As per a Kenya Gazette notice dated 21st January 1998, it was reported that Simon Kinuthia Mushomba passed away at Thika District Hospital on 15th July 1997. However, a Simon Kinuthia Mushomba is documented as attending a meeting on 20th February 2021 and another on 5th August 2022 as indicated in the minutes of the alleged new Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited company. The resolution to this directorship dispute is yet to be resolved.
So again, these are questionable things, but they saw that one of the ways that people were able to say that the land actually belongs to them and taken and borrowing a leaf from what the Ministry of Lands was trying to do is now create this Thome Farmers Circle under this new directorship to now come and make claims, give them your documents and they can verify, which is of course a risk because you're giving people who we don't trust or know your documents.
So it is making matters worse, and it is going to be a serious problem for the government because if your land has been taken and you cannot recover it, you sue the government for damages. So that is what will happen. The government is going to be entangled in a lot of issues of their own making because they have refused to listen.
Our efforts to contact Thome Farmers No. 1 Limited, the company claimed to be in operation, were unsuccessful.
The most critical thing is for the Ministry of Lands to be able to secure all the data, verified and cleaned up data of who owns what, where, and how, so that when there are challenges, then somebody knows where they need to begin. But when the data is disjointed, you find that that uncertainty is what people rely on to perpetuate these illegalities.
We can have the best system with the best design and desires, but where integrity is lacking, then it creates a problem. We also need to ensure that we can be able to secure that information system so that intruders or crooks or such kind of characters do not have that opportunity where they can be able to use that information system to be able to change things within the system that would then bring out conflict issues.
It's always best that even if you have, for those titles, keep following up so that every 3-4 years, you have record, a report on the records held by the government, that these documents are yours.
The glaring absence of accountability for those involved in wrongful actions stands as a formidable obstacle for those seeking justice.
The judiciary needs to put their house in order. They need to expedite these cases. They need to discourage these funny judicial acrobats of delaying cases, and they just need to set an example. The judiciary will always find a way of having the case stay there as long as possible. I may not say with authority, but even justice delayed is justice denied. So we have a lot of work to do at the judiciary. And I want to appeal to them to play their part. As legislators, as members of the County Assembly in Nairobi, we are doing our part.
We should have no role as journalists in matters of land fraud or in fact most other crimes. We should have no role because there should be systems that are working. I mean, there should not come a time when we are investigating a person or a case or a pattern that has taken place like 5 years or so. We should have no role because the Ministry of Lands should be able to stem these things. The DCI should be able to stem these things. But we are here because those systems are not working.
If the guys who are involved in land fraud have been arrested and prosecuted, then they would actually minimize that. But if there's nothing no action is taken, and there's no consequence for selling and stealing land, or rather, there's no consequence for stealing and selling somebody's land, then it will just continue the way it is. As a buyer of land, the only person who can verify for me documents if they're original or not, it's the government. But you have land registrars who work with land cartels to beguile or to lie to buyers and con them of their hand-earned cash.
The Registrar's Office at the Ministry of Lands serves as a key authority in the process of land registration in Kenya. It verifies applications, ensures document compliance, and confirms legitimate property transfers by granting certificates of title, among other services.
Because if you have those documents, fine, now I believe they are genuine. When you now are doing this due diligence, see, they are the ones you will now be going to that land registry, making an inquiry through documentation, through letters, telling the land registrar, confirm these documents are genuine. I have them, but now I hear or I fear, they may not be genuine. Procedurally, that land registrar ought to go back to the records I've just talked about and will now tell you on your face and even on paper, yes, your documents are sawa.
We have registries spread across the country. In total, we have 64 registries. And some counties you will find we have as many as 4 registries, such as Kiambu. So it's important. You don't get documents from the street and you pick them and you want to walk away with it.
However, it's worth noting that like any other institution, there may be individuals who don't uphold high standards of integrity, potentially engaging in activities that undermine the legitimacy of property transactions.
Of course, you also want to operate on this reality. Those people, you are calling it a department, people working at the Ministry of Lands Office, land registrars, ni wengi. Kati yao kuna wakora. Kati yao kuna wale, hata kama alikuwa amesoma, yeye anaona lazima nikuwe tajiri. Na those are the ones who will continue using their skills, advantages, kubadilisha kwa mfano hata zile records zenye ziko kwa hiyo office. Remember, it is an office. Remember, the person in that office was and ought to have been employed for purposes of conducting or doing, providing services relating to that.
In our ongoing investigative series into land grabbing in Kenya, one issue of concern has emerged: allegations of collusion by Ministry of Land officers to deceive and defraud Kenyans through the introduction of allegedly fraudulent documents into land transactions. Some of these documents purportedly bear the clearance of key offices in the ministry, such as the Land Registry. In 3 of our investigations, we noticed a name that recurs in documents provided by victims of land grabbing attempts. The name and a signature of a CK or Charles Kipkiruingetich, a land registrar from the Ministry of Lands, appeared on a suspected forged title deed affirming Lariak Properties Limited's ownership of the land, reference number 1870, Roman 346 in Westlands, Nairobi. This led to the forced eviction of the Shahs, the property owners, in 2022. In our 3rd episode, The Original Fakes, we highlighted the cases of ever-ready security guards who were forcibly evicted from their South Bay property and the members of Ubora Housing Cooperative Society who currently cannot access their property due to another party's claim of ownership. In both cases, CK Ngetich's alleged signature is on the purported forged documents. This includes Esteem Energy Limited's title asserting their ownership of the property LR number 2095924 in South B, also registered under Everready Security Guards. and the title of one Isaac Hassan Abdi for the Syokimau land with reference number 12715709, also registered under Ubora Housing Cooperative Society. An article published in The Nation on 22nd October 2023 mentioned C.K. Ng'etich's name in connection with other cases, including the recent Mavoko land saga. We did not find conclusive evidence of fraud or illegality in the actions of C.K. Ng'etich, but found his repeated appearance in these cases noteworthy. It raises important questions about the roles of specific individuals within the Ministry of Lands. With 64 registries and over 300 registrars in the country, we must ask, what sets Mr. Ng'etich apart? Why is his name in particular connected to some of these deals where purportedly fake documents have been used to assert ownership over properties? What is it about his position within the ministry that has made his name stand out in these transactions? David Nyandoro, the Deputy Chief Land Registrar at the Ministry of Lands, shared his observations and insight regarding cases like these.
Sometimes you look at a signature and you say you look at it, you say inaonekana ni ya huyu. But you see that's not saying 100% ni yake because you are yuko. So you look at that signature and in most cases you will realize there is sort of a pattern. Either these are the signatures used are of retired, those who are died, who are registrars, because they know hakuna mahali utampata umuulize. And for cases, there are cases where they know that signature ya fulani is easier to forge. So you will find that signature forged left, right and center. When we have this kind of information, for us what we first get to is the officer himself. Are these your documents? Is this you who signed? Then, on what basis? Because now that officer must be able to explain and to an extent held to account. So sometimes the line is very thin, even when you are saying, is it genuine? Is it not genuine? But what we mostly rely on, what is the information in our records? Because always there is something small. That is, somebody who is forging a document, surprisingly they never forge 100%. Under section 79, subsection 2 of the land registration, we are allowed to make those collections, particularly where we see that here there is an issue of fraud. That's what the Office of the Chief Land Registrar stands for. That is what actually the ministry stands for. From my bosses, the CS and the PS, they have been very emphatic, particularly since they came into office, that things can't be done the same way.
In our previous episodes, we've delved into a wide range of issues, including attempted land grabs, historical injustices, the use of questionable documents in land transactions, entanglements with law enforcement, and court orders that raise significant questions about due process. We've spoken to individuals and families who've endured their own harrowing ordeals in the realm of land dispute. Among them is Avani Shah, who faced a forceful eviction and her home reduced to rubble.
Now we're just living our life in a limbo situation. You're not here, you're not there. Do we build, do we not? I'm paying rent, something I've never paid before. We're paying for lawyer expenses, so many other things that you didn't envisage. We're going out of pocket for things that we shouldn't have. But yet, who's going to compensate me for that?
David Kimengere and his family, comprising of over 300 descendants, continue to fight to reclaim their ancestral land over 50 years later.
We lack our rights as stipulated in our constitution, Article 40, that we can own the land. It was desire for my grandpas to see justice done. I am their grandson. I am their blood. So I will fight to the last drop of my blood until we get justice.
Lucy Gathoni and her son Edwin Mashira saw their company Everready Security Guards Limited forcibly evicted from their land, resulting in significant losses to their business.
A judge seated somewhere who even does not even know you can decide to use, by the stroke of a pen and paper, make your title worthless to become a piece of paper and give another title meaning, just because he knows he has the power to do that and does not care of the consequences that will come his way, because probably there'll be none.
People are oppressed in this nation. People who are hardworking, they are being maimed. Because if I'm hardworking, today I achieve something and another person comes and steals it, and the law does not follow up, then what do we call killing?
Elijah and Jeff, 2 of 40 members of the Ubora Housing Cooperative Society, which sold land to them only to find the property fenced off, preventing any of them from accessing their plots.
Corruption is very systemic and it is endemic in our country. It's endemic because most of those people who have managed to grab other people's property, they've done so with the help of those either who are in power or those who are able to access those who are in power. So they know that no matter what they do, nothing will happen to them.
In all these cases, the common thread remains the challenge of impunity, a challenge that these individuals, like so many others, have and continue to confront in their quest for justice. And as these brave voices stand up against a system that often seems indifferent, their struggles reveal the urgent need for change.
We do have grandparents who have willed this, for example, to my daughter. It means they worked hard for their grandchildren, and they had a very clear intention and purpose for the land, for their grandchildren. So it's what we want to see fulfilled as a family, that we continue to enjoy the property as we so will, as well as the grandchildren who they worked hard for and toiled for and sweated for. So this is what we hope to continue on this property.
What does the future hold for land rights in Kenya? In the final episode of this series, we bring it all together. We confront the hard truths about land ownership in Kenya, explore potential solutions to land challenges, and speak to the key institutions at the center of it all.
Tunyoni tuhidahide. Oh, nawe. The impact of the statement by Kenyatta is what we have today. Kenya has become more antagonized as a country.
We as the National Police Service, when we approach the issue of land, we are normally very careful because on several occasions we have been accused of sidelining with one group.
You might even get to a certain extent an officer wants to take an action, then you will get calls, threats.
We give the land grabbers, the courage, the audacity to continue to perpetrate such actions.
For us as Judicial Service Commission, it is our responsibility not only to recruit judges and judicial officers, but also to hold them to account.